Welcome to The Shield Within. The issues discussed on the Shield Within podcast do not reflect the opinions of any specific agency. They are the views of the host and the guest. Any persons discussed may be fictional for comedic purposes only. This podcast is rated explicit and listener discretion is advised. Listening to The Shield Within may trigger repressed or suppressed memories or experiences. Please contact a mental health professional at your earliest convenience. It's time for the chaos to cease.
Time to open yourself to peace.
From the hours you've put in,
to the next shift you begin.
From the endless pursuit of release
that finds the worst unleashed.
Transform the ugly into a win.
Get to know your shield within.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the inaugural episode number 1 of The Shield Within. I'm Mark the Cop. Welcome. My partner here is David Buchanan.
Mm-hmm. Nice to see you, Mark. Nice to be here.
No, absolutely. So, what is The Shield Within? Well, David and I got together a while ago. I'm a 30-year law enforcement officer, recently retired. David is my therapist, or was.
Mm-hmm. Yes, once upon a time.
Yeah, many I ago. Like I said, 30 years, been there, done that. Got deep into the weeds of PTSD. I met David in December of 2010.
Right.
And I was your client for, 5 years?
Probably, yeah, about 5.5, actually.
Yeah, about 5 years of that. And then you've retired?
Yes, I retired in the spring of 15 after 41 years plus of doing what I do.
And we greatly appreciate it. So after he retired, he called me up and he said, "Hey, man, can we still be buddies?" And I'm like, absolutely, because we have a lot of common ground. So then what we did was that, as you know, our favorite podcast is the It List podcast. And thank goodness Fathead Joel's here as our sound engineer tonight. That got started, which led into this project. Mm-hmm. And what we've realized is that there's a lot of people hurting out there, isn't there?
Yeah, lots
of folks. So
grows every day.
What we found out is that we need to find a venue or a way, a vehicle somehow to get people some peace.
Yes.
So we decided to come up with this.
Yes.
So David and I were sitting around going, hey, why don't we come up with a show? I think we'll be the first one around that we're the only retired cop, retired therapist that's going to be doing this.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So David, tell me about yourself. Tell the world about you.
Frightening thought. Let's start with I am retired. I did 41 years of clinical counseling in the state of Ohio, primarily. I had my first position was in Indiana when I was going to graduate school. I ended up working primarily with kids and adolescents for a long time.
Very cool.
Did a day treatment program in the Tri-County area north of Dayton, Troy, Greenville, Sydney, and did that for 6 years. Had a really good time doing it. But I thought, I'm tired of running shit. I just want to be a therapist.
Yeah,
so
do your thing.
The mental health center said, we'll let you do that. So I just did outpatient therapy for a couple of years. Loved it. Mm-hmm. Just seeing kids and teenagers. So I hung out my shingle in 86 and spent the next 30 years doing private practice in Tip City and Sydney.
Awesome.
I had just told this story to a client this morning. It's one of those things where I was a kid therapist,
right?
Period, and an adolescent therapist, period. Well, finally, a mom said to me, I've seen what you do with my kids.
Right.
You're going to be my therapist.
She told you what she...
Yeah. I don't...
You listen here, mister.
That's right. My response was, I don't do adults. I just do children. And she said...
Excuse me?
No, you're going to do me. And I said, all right. So she came in and she convinced me that I could work with adults.
Okay.
And
so how'd that work out for you?
It worked out really well. It was a mom who had a garden variety depression for a long time and hadn't dealt with it. And once we got into it, literally 5 sessions in, she was like, I know what I need to do.
Yeah.
And then it was the rest of the 9 years was helping her figure out how to implement.
All right. So
insight.
from that patient on, did you expand your adult practice?
I sure did.
Okay.
I sure did. I ended up with a social worker with a horrible incest story.
Ooh.
And she knew me from professionally, and she decided I was going to be helping her through that. So we did that too. And then off and on through the 90s, I would see adults a lot more often for all sorts of different things. Then in 2000, I had a case where I was not adequate to the task.
Okay.
And it pissed me off.
Okay.
So I decided I need some special training in how to help a woman who's been raped, because she was knocking on my door and I was going to be the one to help her. She had just gotten raped.
Oh, wow. That's heavy
And
stuff.
she called me 10 minutes after the perpetrator left her house.
Oh, my God.
And so we got through that, and we got through a lot of shit. And in 2000, I got training in EMDR.
Wonderful stuff. What is EMDR? Tell the world what EMDR is.
Sounds good. EMDR is a way of resolving trauma by working with the brain in a fairly direct manner, which does not equal putting, pitchforks into your head or anything. It's like we find out what's stuck,
right?
And we reprocess that traumatic experience. It involves, you can do it with eye movement. That's what the EM stands for. And desensitization is what the D stands for. It means we're going to take something that has a incredibly high level of stress around it and energy around it.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to take that apart. We're going to dismantle it. We're going to find out what it's been hiding, what it's been protecting.
Right.
And we're going to take it out and we're going to expose it. And we're going to put it in a file where it belongs, someplace where you don't need to go find it, but if you had to, you could.
Right.
And it became a remarkable tool for this particular woman. And then I started to get all this requests from...
Hey, this shit works.
That's right. It's just like women who have been victimized know other women who've been victimized.
And women talk a lot.
Oh, God. They share, and this is the kind of shit that they don't want to share, but they end up sharing.
Right.
So I just started getting requests from all sorts of women with all sorts of sexual victimization stories, and then that led to, I had a woman who survived a fire.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then it led to an ER nurse who has some stories to tell. She was a remarkable woman.
I can only imagine shit you see in the ER. I swear to God, Doc, I just fell on that light bulb. I didn't have no idea how it got up my ass.
That's right. Don't ask.
See, this gerbil was just on my countertop, so I went to hit it with this paper towel tube. Next thing I know, it's wrapped in duct tape, and I got it in my bunghole. Anyway, rolling along.
Exactly. So eventually, I had the first responder I had was an EMT.
Ooh,
and he had a child a daughter, who was a really neat kid, but he did not really know what to do with her.
Okay, meaning
like how to be her dad.
Okay, was it his natural born kid?
Natural born kid, and they had at one point when she was little, they were very close. Right. But as his EMT years grew on, his unresolved trauma grew. He became distant. He became unsure about how to approach his daughter, how to talk to her, and it wasn't really about his trauma that we were talking about. It was just like he'd gotten out of touch with him.
Oh, okay.
And therefore had gotten out of touch with his family.
Got it.
Including his daughter. And so I worked with the daughter for a long time, but Dad,
not so much,
was never wanting to be the focus.
So after EMDR, that was how many years had you been practicing?
That was 2000, and you and I met each other about 10 years after I got my initial training.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And I was seeing you for about 2 years,
right?
And he kept talking about EMDR. I'm like, ain't no fucking way. You know why?
Why?
I was afraid what was in that Pandora's box of bullshit. So I'm like, ain't no fucking way. You're like, you walk right up to the threshold, you peek your head in, but you step right back out. And I said, you're damn right, because you don't know what's in this shithole head of mine.
That's right.
But the day we finally did it, of course, you get into a post-hypnotic state. And we did it, and I brought back some memories. And you're like, dude, you like lost 10 years. I mean, it was like
it went right off your face.
Right. He's like, what do you got? And it's like, whoa. This shit's heavy. Anyway, it's great stuff. EMDR. What else do you do? Any other discipline?
After I retired, I kept getting calls from clients and families, and so I started just like, okay. And here we are a few years later, and I started a coaching business last year called Lessons Learned Coaching. I don't want to do clinical work anymore, deal with insurance companies and the state board of bullshit. So I decided to do coaching, which is more casual, more informal, and a lot of fun.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
And so that's lessonslearnedcoaching.com?
You got it.
Okay, so they can reach out to you there?
Absolutely. My phone number, my email, all my contact information is on my website.
Cool. So if the Shield Within isn't enough for you and you want to hire David, reach out to him there, because he is available.
Yeah, available.
As your coach.
Absolutely. Ready, willing, and eager. And now, I'd like to know, where'd your 30 years start?
Where did it?
Yeah.
In the village of Covington.
Describe Covington.
Covington is a rural farm community, right, Joel? Joel's laughing and running to the out of the MTC studios. Covington, Ohio, is a village of about 3,000 people. The police force there, 5 full-time officers, including the chief. And at that time, we had probably 5 to 8 reserve, auxiliary, part-time, whatever you want to call them.
Okay.
And I was a part-time cop there in Covington.
Okay.
So, yeah, I got started out there. We had a small business in town. It was called John B. Auto Sales. And so I was a car dealer. Goddamn car salesman. And then I had also ran for council. So I was on council there.
Like how old?
How old was I?
Yeah.
I was in my 30s.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I started late. I was one of these late fuckers. When you get into law enforcement, it's 25 years and out. So the younger you start, the earlier you retire.
Okay.
Now, I did 6.5 years out of what they called the system. So there's 2 police retirement systems, but we'll get into that in a minute. But anyway, Covington, small town. I grew up there, went to school there, graduated there, knew everybody, had a lot of great experiences there. And Covington got into all kinds of shit over there. Guns, dope. I never had a homicide there, but all kinds of fun stuff. Works with some really great, dedicated people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So it was a good experience.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And how long did you do that?
I was in Covington for 4.5 years. And then I decided, need to expand my horizons, and started looking at the car business itself. I mean, it was just working for a family business, and we can talk about that later, but it had its challenges. But it wasn't me, it wasn't my business.
Right.
So went to the sheriff's department, really got a great experience there, just a lot of great folks. So I left Covington, went to the sheriff's department. I was there about 4 years as well.
Okay.
But that kind of took on a sour note. And what I know now is that all sheriff's departments are very politically charged.
Yeah.
And it's all facets of it are very politically charged. So I kind of got my belly full. And I'm like, I'm going to get the fuck out. So I got out of law enforcement for about 10 months. And my good friend, Mike Davis, God rest his soul, he was the chief of Bradford. And I decided to apply at Tip City, which is where I retired from. And in the meantime, it was just taking some time. And I was afraid my commission, if you don't get another commission within a year, you have to do an update course, which, like a fucking idiot, I should just want to let Tip City pay for my update course, but I didn't do that. But anyway, I volunteered over to Village of Bradford. Okay. Cute little community. Everyone there's drunk after 6 o'clock in the afternoon.
Makes it cute.
No, yeah. You drive by in a cruiser, fuck you, with the family-friendly middle finger. But, that was a good experience because, I brought a lot of knowledge. And,
Right.
My boss at the time said, dude, when you're working, I sleep like a baby. I absolutely sleep like a baby. So, but it was a good experience. And then I got hired at Tip City full time.
So at that point, you'd had 8 years plus Bradford.
Yes.
And-
8 years and 10 months.
And in that 10 months, did you miss it?
Not at first. But as time wore on, yes.
What'd you miss?
The camaraderie, just the job itself. I've always been drawn to service.
Okay.
Don't know why, but then I come to find out, hey, I'm fucking Scottish and,
That's what we do.
Scottish and Catholic. No wonder I want to be a cop and play bagpipes and drink all the time. It was natural for you know what I mean?
Every Scot man's ambition.
Right. And then come to find out that a lot of people with my last name moved out west, and in Texas and Missouri and Arkansas, there's a lot of cops.
Okay.
Yeah, that I wasn't aware of. Through the power of Facebook and social media, got to learn that.
Right. Cool. So you start Tip City. How's Tip City different from Covington?
Ooh, much bigger city.
Okay.
A lot better pay. And it really isn't that big. I mean, it was 9,000 people when I started there.
Okay.
Tip City was in the 90s. I think they were rated one of the fastest growing cities in the state of Ohio because they were a village like Covington, and then they grew. It was like bam, because they're a suburb of Dayton, Ohio.
Right.
So everyone was moving out of the city and they want to move to the suburbs. And Tip City's a nice, quaint little garden community. And so it went from a village of 3,000 to like 10,000 within 10 years.
Wow.
So they really, went through all the typical growing pains. And, the boss that I had there, Tom Davidson, God rest his soul, what a great guy.
Wow.
But yeah, he was fantastic.
Man.
So Tip City, suburb of Dayton, had a really good training regimen, really worked with some great people there.
What shift did you work?
Started out on midnight shift.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I went from selling cars and being up every day at 9, and my first shift there is, report to duty at 11 o'clock. So I worked 11 to 7. Yeah. First day wasn't bad. Second day was a motherfucker, man.
All right. There's a story there.
To get your rhythm.
Yes.
But I didn't know, how to take care of yourself and what your sleep pattern should be because, just one of the things you just kind of had to hunt, peck, and cuss and work your way through it. But
Right.
yeah, and again through it.
Right. Sounds good. What was the training? Did you get trained before you were at Covington?
Yeah, I went through the police academy.
Police
When I
Academy.
went to Clark State.
Clark State.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's the Ohio Peace Officers Training Commission, which regulates all police training. And at that time, it was like 680 hours is what you needed for police training.
Okay.
Now, put this in perspective. You have to have 1,800 to be a cosmetologist to do hair. Now, only 680 hours to, make split-second decisions on whether you're going to take someone's life. I can walk in here and take your fucking freedom away. I can take all your shit away, but 680 is enough. But, to put fucking color on your hair and your long silver locks that you got there. Yeah, for me to trim it up, I have to do 1,800. Some people think that's a little hypocrisy there, but
It's an interesting way of presenting priorities, isn't it?
yeah, exactly. But I went through Clark State. That was interesting. I was one of the old guys there because I was in late 20s when I went through in 92. Is when I went to police academy. I was commissioned before I went.
Okay.
I was a non-certified police officer at Covington Police Department. They had non-certified auxiliaries. So we couldn't carry a gun, but we carried everything else.
Okay.
Handcuffs, spray, whatever else. And so you look like a cop, you just weren't allowed to carry a gun.
Okay.
So, but then I was sponsored, so I went through the academy. And then when I got out of the academy, I got commissioned. I was commissioned in 93. But my ID, I actually started in 91, late 91 is what my police ID says. So it's been a lot of years ago, so 30 years.
And that training was that's what allowed you to be eligible for the job at the Sheriff's Department and Tip City. Carried you through all those positions.
Yeah, once you become a certified officer or a commissioned officer in the state of Ohio, then you can go anywhere.
Go any jurisdiction.
Yeah.
Okay. At the point you leave Covington, are you happy you're a policeman?
Oh, yeah.
At the point you left the Sheriff's Department, were you happy you were in law enforcement?
I was happy to be a cop, but discouraged with how things went.
politically.
Yes. They had a very domineering, arrogant, narcissistic chief deputy.
Aha. And it became intolerable.
Yeah, it was more or less. The sheriff had told me, he says, hey, man, you're the kind of guy I want working for me, so the next job I got available, I'm going to hire you. Woohoo!
Yeah.
Fucking yeah.
Yeah.
What a charge. But then I was always taught to do the right thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do the right thing even when nobody's looking. It's called integrity.
Yeah.
And we had a guy come through, and the sheriff's department, or the patrol, they called it then, rejected his application, but Bradford picked him up. And my buddy Mike Davis is like, why'd you guys turn this guy down? I'm like, I don't know. I can't tell you anyway, because we have a confidentiality agreement at the beginning of it, that none of this would be released to anybody else. He's like, bullshit, motherfucker. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Why did you guys turn this down? So what I was told is in our monthly meeting, the chief deputy at the time came in and said, yeah, this guy had marijuana in his system. The other guy had cocaine or crack or something. I'm like, that's odd. 2 at a time. That's really odd. If you're doing dope, why the hell would you want to be a fucking cop?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so, I sent out the letter. Hey, we appreciate it. The thanks but no thanks letter. So I told Mike, I said, dude, I really can't tell you. You just need to call him and talk to the chief. Nah, I'm talking to you, motherfucker. What's up? He said, we're going to be working together anyway. I mean, why wouldn't you tell me? And I said, well, I don't know, Mike. I said, let me ask you a question. In your application process, tell me about that. Tell me what you do in your application process. Well, application, we do background check, blah, blah, blah. I said, do you send them over to probation to pee in the cup? Huh. No, I don't. Do you think you ought to? Well, yeah, that would probably be a pretty good idea. And I said, I'm not saying he did. I'm not saying he didn't. But I'm saying that if I was you and I was a chief and I had a guy applying, that should probably be part of your application process. Would you agree or disagree with that? And he's like, oh, no, I agree with it. All right, cool. So he calls the guy up. Hey, man, go over to the probation, see so-and-so, piss in the cup, and then bring me the results. He did. Kid was clean. No big deal. And what it got down to is that the guy looked like a Mexican. And the chief didn't like the way he looked. That was it. So there's, but that's my interpretation of it. So this guy is like, oh my God, I never did drugs and blah blah blah. I'm like, dude, I didn't say you did.
Right.
I never said that.
Right.
Yeah, I just told Mike we were just talking about application processes, and we told him we were rejected, and I told him to go to the chief. Do you want to know the difference? Go over and talk to that guy. I just the one sent you the fucking letter. Well, that got whipped up. So I got the ass chewing of my life from that guy. And because of that day, okay, they would hire anybody. They would hire a fucking corpse and not hire me. So the next job opening came up. They hired this kid out of a political hiring, and the guy had like 100 career hours.
Oh, wow.
I had years of experience.
Right.
And to me, I was just scratching my head. I'm like, why the fuck wouldn't you hire me?
Yeah.
Why would you hire this fucking buffoon?
Right.
Which, by the way, they ended up firing him. Not immediately, but like 5-6 years later.
Right.
But anyway.
Eventually.
But thank God for unanswered prayers. Thank God for unanswered prayers.
Be careful what you ask for.
Right. Well, no, God steered me to Tip City, and it was just a good fit.
Right. It worked for a long
all the way up to almost the end.
Yes. Well, let me move forward to you were 8 years in before Tip City. You still want to be a cop, even though you've had a heavy example of how bullshit it can be.
Oh, yeah.
You went to Tip City with a positive head. You were looking forward to it. It was kind of a nicer pay.
Yeah.
Midnights were going to be interesting. And then things started to happen. And eventually...
It's Joel in there. Bring me my coffee while you're in there. Drink, bitch. That's some good podcasting here anyway.
So along the way, stuff happened. And you became concerned. And I'm thinking there was probably this day when, I don't know, maybe you came to you that you wanted to get into counseling, or like it became you were convinced you wanted to go into counseling? Like there had to be this day where like
it was there, all right.
This day where like it all kind of like came to like, this is something I have got to do.
Right. You're talking about what day did I decide to get into counseling?
Exactly. What was that day like?
Let's see. I started in Tip City in 2001. About 2000 well, I had a bunch of fucking trauma before that.
Right.
In 2001, I got my dream job, and hey, that winter, as a matter of fact, on New Year's Eve, my mother died. What a fucking shit show that was. We'll talk about that in a later episode.
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks after that, I found out that my wife hadn't been having a long-term affair with her boss. Oops.
Yeah.
You know, several deaths, they had one death in particular that really fucked me up. You probably remember Louis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the guy by the name of Louis, he blew his brains out in front of his mother one afternoon. I got the call, possible gunshot wound. Yeah, I get there, and on top of the motherfucker's head looks like the top of my cup. From the ears up is gone, and I end up walking through his brains going in the house, and I'm like, what the fuck? And his mother's hysterical, and I'm like, oh my God. So yeah, and all these traumas just piled up. I have what's called cumulative stress.
Right.
So what got me to counseling?
That day.
Yeah, I know the day you're talking about. So I ran the honor guard. I was the honor guard coordinator. You know, the hut guys put on their pretty uniforms and go out and, you know, honors the dead. Yep. You do the funerals and things like that. That's something that I help organize with our FOP lodge. And there was a friend of mine. His father passed. He was a firefighter in Covington. They're like, hey man, we need another guy. Are you available? Any chance you're available? Yeah, fuck yeah, I'm available. I was separated from my wife at the time. I think that was 08, 09. Mm-hmm. We were separated again. Mm-hmm. I had a problem with my dick. I couldn't keep it in my pants. She's so unreasonable. Quit putting your dick in her vagina. They kind of get territorial, don't they?
That's mine.
That's right. You used to say that about some women. They had a problem with their back. They couldn't stay off of it. But anyway, yeah, that was a girl I was dating. Anyway, so yeah, I woke up one day and I'm kind of like, I'm in this house by myself. My kids are gone. My wife's gone. You know, life basically fucking sucks. So, all right, I'm going to go do this fucking funeral. So I went and did the funeral. Came home. I went upstairs to my office. I was looking out the window and I thought, you know what? Fuck this. I'm going to check out. So I pulled out my stainless steel 40 caliber Sig Sauer. I put that motherfucker right in my mouth and I was just getting ready to fucking pink spray the fucking wall behind me. From the grave. True story. My mother said, no. I was like, holy fuck. Where'd that come from? I looked at that gun and I threw it across the fucking room and I said, I'm fucked. I am fucked. What the fuck? How the fuck did I get here? Lots of F-bombs being dropped. I'm like, how the hell did I get here? How the hell what the fuck happened to me? So I called Brian Gray up. That goddamn Brian Gray. He's like, buddy, come down here. So I went down to his house. I became a blithering idiot. And he's like, you know, I got a buddy of mine I think can help you out. And I said, oh, yeah, who's that? Dave Buchanan. I'm like, really? Yeah, here's his phone number. Give him a call. He's like, he's not real good about calling you back. So call him a few times. He'll eventually call you back, but you need to go see him. Okay, cool. So I called, and I called, and I called. Finally, you called me back, but I was doing something. You left me a voicemail, so then I called you back. Tag. Called you again. And I think on the third time you answered, and you're like, yeah, I got a spot for you here in about a month. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. But all right, Brian said you're a miracle worker, so okay. And the rest is downhill.
So you made a phone call to a stranger.
Well, it used to cost me $10 an hour, but
but I'm cheap.
What are you wearing? Yeah, I made a phone call to a stranger.
Thank God there's no video for that particular aspect of the conversation. Oh, man. So you pick up the phone and you call a stranger, and the stranger says, cool, month out.
Yeah.
Pissed off?
No, because Brian told me that you were extremely busy, and that if he gave me your number, and because I told you that Brian Gray gave me your number,
right?
He said, draw my name, otherwise he's never going to call you back because he's so fucking busy. Yeah. But if he knows I sent you, he will call you back,
right,
and he will do his best to get you on his book. So it's going to be a little bit, but be cool, dude. If you need me, call me. Come down, whatever. Beautiful. You know, just fucking chill, dude. He'll get to you. But when he gets to you, you'll know what I'm talking about, he said.
He became important to get you through that month. Because
yeah.
I mean, your faith in what he was saying to you and his support. I mean, he was close, etc.
Right.
And on the phone, did you have an impression of me?
Yeah, that you were like 6'8". Listen, I mean, Jesus Christ, everyone listening right now, listen to your voice. I told you before you should do voiceover work, so right. Good thing we got you on the microphone.
Right. I was reminded recently of a really wonderful woman I saw a number of years ago who we all finished up. She was happy as a clam, walked out the door, turned around and said, I'd pay for phone sex with you. And I said, it's not a career I'd really given much thought to, but I will now.
But yeah, the image I put in my mind's eye wasn't at all what I saw. I mean, you look like Father Time for people that don't know the difference, but you're super fucking cool. So, but no, it's, you know, I remember walking in your office and sitting down, and you're like, what do you normally say?
I think it was an 8:00 in the morning appointment.
Yep.
And that was my first one. And I would come into the building around 7 and feed the cats and get my morning clients, have their files out, get ready for them. So at 8:00, first time, sweet. I don't have to do anything.
Oh, okay, cool.
So I think what I remember is 8:00 in that building, I was the only one there.
Yeah, you were.
So
I was like, what the? Now, the building is in. Let's describe this. This is up on Poplar Street in Sydney, Ohio. It's this fucking ginormous Victorian fucking home. I'm like, what the fuck am I getting? I'm ready for witches to come off the top of this fucking place. It's fucking huge. So I walk inside, and there's this. The stairway was really cool. Yeah, it's like this big fucking stairway, and of course it's like all the way up to the top, and then there was your office. So.
Yeah. You turned right. I was ready for you. The door was open, and obviously never seen you before.
Right.
And we shook hands, and I just said, "Come on in, make yourself comfortable." I think you had some coffee.
Yep.
I may have too.
Always. Right.
And I probably had water for sure.
Yeah.
And. I think I started off by, in kind of a normal, typical kind of way, just by saying, "What brought you in today?" was usually my opening question. What brought you in the office today?
And I think I fucking avalanched you, didn't I?
I'm sure it felt like that inside, but it wasn't like that outside. You didn't present like that. It was more reasoned, more moderated.
Okay.
You were polite. There was no cussing, and
Jesus fucking Christ, and
you were very moderate in your presentation, and it was to me it looked like an act of self-restraint.
Oh, okay.
Like there's a lot going on in there.
Oh yeah.
And
the squirrels on the fucking wheel. There was 2 of them at a time.
you put a little faucet on the Hoover Dam, and it was so cute. You know, it's like a little bit that you shared was like, okay, you're not going to tell me why you're here. Really? You may not know why you're here, right, but you're here for a lot of really good reasons, right, and we'll get to them. And so my approach with you was honestly the same as it was with everybody else. I don't know where you're going to take me.
Right.
I just know I want to go.
Fucking strap in.
That's right, man. Put it on and let it go. And that's what we did. And so we explored every part of your life over the course of the next 3 or 4 months.
Right.
You would come in and tell me the latest pile of shit that you've been dealing with. And then you'd teach me about a part of your life that was very important. School, work, marriage, children, etc. Your health became kind of a big deal off and on during the whole time.
Right.
I was real concerned about that off and on. But basically, the first, couple of years was spent just, some problem solving, some getting to know you in different parts of you, how you work, your work hours, what it did to you.
Oh, yeah.
And then...
Yeah, because that's that time
Yeah.
they had this great fucking idea. Hey, let's rotate you
Yes.
every fucking 28 days.
Yes.
All 3 fucking shifts.
Yeah.
That's a great idea, you fucking morons.
What it did to you... It made everything we were doing, honestly, harder.
Oh, yeah.
Because it became harder for you to just know what was day and night, up and down, here and there, So finally, after a couple of years.
Do you hear that, world? Couple of years.
Right. That's right. During which time, lots of good things happen.
Yeah.
And we became close as a therapist and client need to be to do the work they're going to do. So we spent 2 years prepping, building the relationship, and getting ready to do what we needed to do when you walked in the door day one.
Right.
And we ended up focusing on the death of your mom.
Yeah, we did, didn't we?
And that led to, and this is what happens with all trauma clients that I ever dealt with, man, woman, first responder, doesn't matter.
Right.
You start off with you walk in the door and you think, okay, I know this one thing we're going to be dealing with. And then you find out there's a whole house. And there's rooms.
I had a fucking warehouse and a boat out back.
That's exactly right. And we went through that house eventually.
Right.
And it didn't actually take that many sessions to do the exploration of the house, because once it started to flow, it flowed.
Oh, yeah.
And we went from your mom to Louie.
Right.
And we spent a lot of time on Louie.
Yeah, Louie was I think Louie was the first time an apple cart tipped over. That's
Makes
really
sense.
what got me there.
Yeah.
You don't realize that cumulative stress until it hits you.
Right.
And of course, that was in the infancy of doing anything, first responder or officer wellness, because then I paid you cash.
Yes, you did.
And no one knew I came there.
Big, important thing I want to really focus on at a future episode.
Yeah.
Do we draw this here to a close? Are
we should.
Right?
Yep. We need to wrap
Shall we
it
do
up.
an outro?
Absolutely. Lay it on us, big doggy.
All right, Bob. May your days and nights find you strong and safe. May you take your place as your family's face. As you do the shit that we won't do, as you embrace the risk you must go through, may you grow in strength and heal and find your heart, your soul, and your mind. You look at your life and grin. You have a home. It's the shield within.